What is the craziest cult you have heard of that still exists today? Scientology and Children of God. It's really disturbing to me that they still thrive. 12 Tribes is pretty crazy. They run a restaurant chain called the Yellow Deli, and they have this end goal of sacrificing 40,000 virgins or some shit. The Children of God now go by the Family International. Their founder encouraged high-level members of the church to perpetrate sexual abuse against their own children, as well as the children of other members. I believe members of his family still run the church after his death. Edited to clarify that Berg was an open advocate for sexually abusing children. Didn't know the rules when I first posted, so I worded it in a way that wouldn't get flagged, but the man was a fucking monster. I'm not sure if it really counts as still existing, but Heaven's Gate still has a website up, so someone is paying for it. It's totally a 90s site, and probably hasn't been updated since then. They're the cult that all but a couple members committed suicide during Halley's Comet, Comet Hale-Bopp. Edit fixed the name of the comet. Pay. This is the cult the Duggar family belonged to. Watch the series Shiny Happy People on Prime to fall down that rabbit hole. Twin Flames don't even investigate this cult. Located at Suttons Bay, Michigan. Not a specific cult. I worked for an advocacy and treatment center for survivors of sexual assault in a fairly average rural county. A surprising amount of our cases, probably a quarter, involved cults. Generally, Christian offshoots. Everyone has to sleep with Jesus, basically. All the answers listed so far, and one called the Emin, formerly the Eminent Way. It's a quiet problem here in the UK. I'm a psych nurse, and the deprogramming of ex-members is difficult. They're secretive too, and attract a lot of vulnerable or lost people. Look up Children of God. They're the Family International now. Fucked. Absolutely fucked. The Moonies are still around in a slightly evolved form. They've literally become a cult that worships guns. Y'all see the Mother God documentary? Shinrikyo. These are the people responsible for the 1995 Tokyo gas attacks. Most people think they went away, but they still exist and are still just as crazy as ever. Without getting into it here, cause it's a very good Google deep dive. It's a Japanese doomsday cult that had anime, chemical weapons, its own Russian military helicopter, and was collecting a significant amount of weapons, AK-47, literal rockets. They planned end of the world, war events. They recruited seriously smart people into their cult and used literal human-sized microwaves to murder some people. Shin Yun. Those people are everywhere. Whoever follows Teal Swan, she claims to be a spiritual influencer, and that she is not the head of a cult, but just look into it, and into her as a person. She abuses her followers and encourages suicidal. Robert Evans looking for new material. Stolen Youth inside the cult at Sarah Lawrence was about a very recent small cult, and was absolutely bonkers. It's quite surprising that the Rajneesh movement is still going considering what we now know. Same goes for the Branch Davidians, the Tele Foundation aka Heaven's Gate, and Aleph aka Shinrikyo, the latter of which are possibly still dangerous. Jared Leto has an actual island where women pay thousands of dollars to come stay with him, and he walks around in white robes to resemble Christ. There's some kind of spiritual nonsense that he teaches them, and most likely treats it as his personal harem. Falun Gong is going strong. Shen Yun is still selling tickets despite being the most boring show on earth. Guess they're not as well known, but IHOP International House of Prayer. Joel Osteen's megachurch. That guy has made so much money with his prosperity gospel BS. It really should be criminal. The Westboro Baptist Church. Landmark Forum. Moms for Liberty. In 48 states now. 300 chapters. Quanon. I remember when that was just RP on 4chan. Now it's conspiracy theory you've ever heard of, all rolled into one big bundle of nonsense. And the evangelicals have completely embraced it, so now it has the support of a bunch of people who are hankering for an end-of-days scenario. People have lost their minds, honestly. Whole towns have been completely swallowed up by it. The kind of stuff that Q is subscribed to is mind-boggling. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can bring most of them back out of that frothing, terrified fever dream. QAnon. In all of human history, I don't think there's ever been anyone as stupid as the people who buy into QAnon. LDM in Mexico. T. Its leaders are revered as prophets whose birthdays are celebrated as religious festivals. Mind you, these leaders have been arrested for child sexual abuse, of course. Flat Earthers. West Coast PNW here. There are still a bunch of nutty commune sect cults that hide off in the woods. They won't advertise, but they're here. They won't allow their kids to marry outside the cult. I think the nuttiest one I ran across was a compound with a sex dungeon in the center. The old crusty boomer hippie that owned it lost all his followers and was renting out the rooms of the dormitories to dumb college girls. Almost all of them had Vermont plates on their Volvos and Subarus. That guy was a complete creep. Scientology. Probably Scientology. Andrew Tate himself described red pillars or whatever alpha male BS they subscribe to. Ku Klux Klan. Look into the Nation of Islam, they believe some wild racist shit. Not sure if it's a cult, but what Jared Leto does on his island looks a bit sketchy. A lot of people answered about us, but worldwide we can mention Soka Gakkai. Don't know if anybody else has watched the Dooku series on Netflix yet, but 7 in a Shekinah church run by Robert Shin. It's absolutely insane, especially with all of these women coming forward and reporting him. I assume we'll be seeing a lot more about this over the next few weeks in the media though, especially with this Doku series coming out.